After years of user complaints, Microsoft has finally done it. The redesigned Start menu for Windows 11 has arrived with the October 2025 non-security update, now called the Preview Update. This long-awaited redesign was supposed to be the fix users have been demanding ever since Windows 11's original release back in 2021. It brings a fresh, modern, single-page view that eliminates unnecessary clutter, lets you properly remove the frustrating recommended section, and even improves how space is used within the menu. On paper, this sounds like the perfect update. Cleaner layout, better usability, and more control for the user. But as many are discovering after enabling it, the new Start menu comes with a batch of bizarre and frustrating bugs that make it feel more like an experimental beta feature than a polished release. As soon as users turn on, two strange and annoying issues become immediately noticeable. The first one involves missing app folders. Normally, when you install a new app like VMware Workstation or Adobe Photoshop, Windows automatically creates a folder with shortcuts inside the Start menu's app list. But in this new version, that doesn't happen consistently. For example, after installing VMware Workstation on a clean Windows copy, you might find that its folder doesn't appear at all in the All Apps list. Even searching for it using Windows Search, which, let's be honest, is still painfully unreliable, doesn't help. It's as if the application never installed. But here's the weird part. The folder and shortcuts do exist. You can find them manually by right-clicking on any existing app in the Start menu, selecting Open File Location, and then browsing to File Explorer, and there they are, hidden in the Start menu Programs directory. They're just invisible to the Start menu itself until you restart your computer or File Explorer. Once you do that, everything magically appears as it should. During testing, this bug seems to affect only apps that create their own folders within the Start menu rather than just a single shortcut. But it's still a strange oversight for such a fundamental part of Windows. You'd think that after months of testing this new layout in the Insider program, Microsoft Quality Assurance team would have caught something this basic. Unfortunately, it doesn't end there. The second major bug is equally odd and downright irritating. The very first time you open the Start menu after a system restart, or even just a File Explorer fresh, try clicking on an app, any app. The moment you do, instead of launching that app, the entire Start menu scrolls to the top of the list, as if you just pressed home. So, if you're trying to open the Photos app halfway down the list, the Start menu jumps back to the top, completely ignoring your click. It happens whether you left-click or right-click, and while it only occurs once after each restart, it's still one of those small, infuriating bugs that make Windows feel unfinished. Imagine setting up your workflow, clicking an app you use daily, and the Start menu just decides to scroll to the top for no reason. Not exactly the seamless user experience Microsoft promised. What's even more frustrating is that this particular bug was supposedly already fixed in the Insider Build 26,220.6780, released in early October 2025, with similar scrolling issues addressed in preview builds back in September. So how did it still make its way into the so-called stable release? It's a question that leaves users scratching their heads. These bugs aren't isolated incidents either. They've been replicated on multiple systems, desktops, laptops, and even virtual machines, meaning they're not limited to specific hardware or configurations. That suggests a deeper issue with how the new Start menu renders or indexes app folders after installation. And this brings us to a bigger problem: Microsoft's current approach to Windows 11 development and testing. Over the past few years, the company has increasingly shifted toward a continuous update model, where new features are rolled out piece by piece instead of through major releases. While this allows faster innovation, it also means that bugs often sneak through the cracks because features are tested in isolated environments and then shipped before they're fully polished. The redesigned Start menu is a perfect example of this rushed approach. Users have been asking for a more functional and flexible Start menu since day one, something closer to the Windows 10 experience. We had full control over pinned apps and layout customization. Microsoft finally listened, but the execution feels half-baked. Sure, removing the recommended section and introducing a one-page layout were great ideas, but basic functionality, like showing newly installed apps and consistent scrolling, should have been priorities. And it's not just the Start menu that's buggy. Around the same time this update rolled out, Other users reported that Windows 11 sometimes fails to terminate the task manager process properly. Instead of closing cleanly, it duplicates itself, leaving multiple background instances that eat up memory and CPU power. Combine that with the ongoing issues with File Explorer crashes, notification delays, and Microsoft's relentless push to inject AI-driven Copilot features into the operating system, and it's easy to see why longtime Windows fans are growing increasingly frustrated. Many feel that Microsoft is focusing too much on flashy AI integration and ad placements in the Start menu and Settings app, while core system stability, the foundation of any OS, is being neglected, and that's the real tragedy here. Windows 11, despite its visual elegance and modern design language, continues to suffer from quality assurance problems that should have been solved decades ago. How is it that in 2025, after years of insider testing and telemetry collection, something as basic as show installed apps in the Start menu can still fail? Even more baffling is that Microsoft knows about these issues. The company's own insider build notes acknowledge that bugs like the Start menu scroll glitch were addressed weeks ago. Yet, the fixes are not reaching the stable channel in time. This inconsistent rollout strategy leaves everyday users stuck with problems that beta testers have already seen and resolved. It's almost as if Microsoft's QA and release teams are out of sync, prioritizing new features over fixing existing ones. And while it's easy to laugh off a small Start menu glitch, these kind of issues accumulate, creating an overall sense of instability that erodes user trust. For power users and professionals who rely on Windows for productivity, this is more than a minor inconvenience. It's a workflow disruption. Imagine installing software for a client presentation and not being able to find it in the Start menu until after a reboot. These are the small frustrations that add up and drive people to alternative operating systems or even back to older versions of Windows. But to be fair, not everything about this update is bad. The new Start menu design itself, when it works properly, is a breath of fresh air. The ability to remove the recommended section finally gives users control over what appears in their personal space. The single-page layout also makes navigation cleaner, and improved spacing allows more icons to fit without feeling cluttered. It's functional, sleek, and a definite improvement over the original Windows 11 Start menu. The problem is just that it's riddled with usability issues that ruin the experience. Microsoft really needs to tighten its QA pipeline, especially for core UI components like the Start menu that every single user interacts with daily. Looking ahead, it's likely that these bugs will be fixed in a future cumulative or optional update, perhaps in the November 2025 Patch Tuesday rollout or the next Insider Preview build. For now, if you haven't yet enabled the new Start menu, it might be worth waiting until these initial kinks are ironed out. Microsoft has a history of shipping updates that are later patched after user backlash, so giving it a few weeks could save you from some unnecessary frustration. For those who've already enabled it and are experiencing these bugs, a quick workaround is to restart File Explorer or your system after installing new apps. It's not ideal, but it temporarily fixes the missing folder issue. And remember, the scrolling glitch only happens once after each restart, so it's mildly annoying but not persistent. Still, for an update that was in development for months and hyped as a major usability improvement, these are mistakes that shouldn't be happening in the first place. Ultimately, Windows 11's new Start menu shows promise, but also highlights Microsoft's ongoing struggle to balance innovation with reliability. Users want clean, functional design, not endless AI features or ads that take over their workflow. If Microsoft truly wants Windows 11 to be the future of desktop computing, it needs to prioritize quality and stability above all else. So our recommendation? Hold off on enabling the new Start menu until Microsoft issues another update addressing these issues. It's a welcome improvement on paper, but for now, it's not quite ready for prime time. As always, stay tuned right here on TechVerse, where we bring you the truth behind every tech update, from hidden Windows bugs to the most powerful AI breakthroughs. Because in the world of technology, knowledge is your greatest upgrade.